Welcome back. We're back. That I think should be our tagline. We're
Yeah,
back.
we're back.
Ow. So it's the day after Christmas, so don't judge our appearances, okay? Yesterday was fun and exhausting, all in the same. As somebody who's I posted this on my Facebook. As somebody who is easily overstimulated, that is something that I battle every day. My son, Deegan, more than my daughter, Deegan has ADHD. He is a fun, big teddy bear, lots of energy, lots of fun, but wants to be with you all the time. Very much not an independent person, loves to be with you. And so he just is, Mom, 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 look, Mom, watch, Mom, you want to do this with me? Mom, let's do this. Can we open this? Let's play it. And I love that he has this big personality he's such a lover of people. As somebody who's easily overstimulated, that is something that I have to work very hard to not get. My anxiousness goes from 0 to Deke, like give me space or give me a minute, and I have to work really hard. And so Christmas with stuff everywhere, right? I'm instantly like, my skin is crawling. I want to pick everything up immediately. But it was our first Christmas here. And so I had to work really hard to just be like, hey, normally I have Christmas decorations put away Christmas night because I just need it all. If I'm going to clean up the Christmas stuff, I might as well just clean up all the Christmas stuff, right?
Mhm.
And if I'm going to put the stuff in their room, I might as well just like reorganize the whole room. So normally on Christmas, I'm just a cleaning psycho. And
Mhm.
yesterday, I just really wanted to just relax, just enjoy. You don't have to. And for the first time in many, many, many years, I think I did a good job. The house is still a mess. Things are kind of picked up. I kept doing dishes because that made me feel like I was doing something.
Funny
But
the pressure we put on ourselves, right? Because God forbid we rest. We have that.
correct.
If we're not being productive, we're doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
As someone that has always worked really hard, both at home and at school and for work, quite frankly, I'm a lifelong learner. So yeah, I'm 44, but I'm always in school. Actually, I'm not in school right now because I finished not too long ago. But yeah, it's like one of those things like when you sit or when you're doing nothing, it's like I'm doing something wrong. So good
Yeah.
for you for being
Thank
able
you.
to stretch yourself
Relax.
yesterday and
Yeah.
be able to do that because it's not easy.
It's not. It really isn't. And I feel for the people who think that, I think for a long time, it's just that's who I am, right? So it's okay. Like that's who I am. I want to clean. I like it. I feel better when I'm doing it. But what are you missing out on
Mhm.
by allowing this piece to control you when in fact, it's not a set of rules that we have to follow. As a mom, if your brain wants you to clean all this up, you don't have to follow. We can say, no, it's okay. Like it's okay to retrain your brain to slow down. It's okay to retrain your brain to accept rest as being crucial. Like
Mhm.
it's not just rest, I think for so many, which this we could do a whole podcast on rest, right? And maybe we will. I'll write this down because rest really is crucial. It's so valuable. And it's not just sitting down. It's not just like rest has not been watching Netflix, right? It's truly just being present and allowing yourself to, get good sleep, relax, connect with the family. So many pieces of rest that we don't prioritize and we don't really make the time for it, and we should. So thank you. I was actually pretty proud of myself. I went to bed last night and I was like, I truly enjoyed today, which was the goal. I was actually worried about Christmas for a long time because it's our first Christmas here, and every other holiday it tends to be just us or very minimal family. But Christmas was like a lot of family, a lot of traditions. Christmas Eve, we always spent with my dad, all of my siblings. Growing up as a kid, it was literally all of my cousins, my grandparents. And when my grandparents died, it became just our family, but it was still something we always did. Christmas Day, a lot of traditions, a lot of family. So I was like, this is going to be the one that's tough for them.
Mhm.
And they were fine. They were
Mhm.
so happy all day. It was really cool. It was really fun to watch it unfold. I'd worried for nothing, which really just makes it like feel like this was our plan. Like this is where we were supposed to be, you know? And when you're walking in your purpose and you're doing, the plans that are for your life, it really is cool to know that we made the right decision.
Mhm.
Despite, change is not easy, but it was a really cool day.
That is awesome. And one little thing that you said that I just want to highlight real quick, Jess, is our thoughts are often worse than what reality is. So you spent a lot of
Yes.
time worrying about what Christmas is going to
Yes.
look like, and everything was okay. And so I think it's so important to remember that sometimes we get caught up in the thoughts. We get caught up in that just the squirt, like the swirls of thoughts and rumination of things and all like worst case scenario, it's usually not that bad.
Which your Christmas was different too.
Mhm.
So, and you had these thoughts of,
Mhm.
like, and it wasn't that bad. Like we created our own unnecessary anxiety, right? When ultimately both Christmases were great.
Yeah, different, but that doesn't
Different.
mean that they're wrong. It's
Yeah.
wrong or bad or anything. They were different for sure. And everybody was okay. Everybody had a nice time and we found joy. And that's what it boils down to. That's what's important. And so
Yeah.
just remembering like we have the power to shift our thoughts. And when we are overwhelmed and when we are stressed out and we're thinking worst case scenario, if we just allow that time to pause and as you said, retrain our brains, it's worth it. Because
100%.
oftentimes, as I said, our thoughts are way worse than what reality is.
Which is a really cool realization for the next time we start worrying about something,
Mhm.
right? We can stop and think like, could this work out the way it has in the past? Like, is the worrying warranted, or am I letting my feelings and emotions control my thoughts, or am I controlling my thoughts and my emotions, right?
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have two exciting things. One, Jess upgraded her internet. I feel like I'm not glitchy right now. Hopefully this edits the same way because little did I know that internet in Southeast Idaho is not like internet in upstate New York. But we found Verizon and hopefully this will help me not be so glitchy. And we're officially on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and what's the third one?
Radio.
iHeartRadio, which is so awesome. We just thought this little thing we were going to put on YouTube and look at us. So thank you to we even have downloads and I think this is super cool. So thank you to our listeners and downloaders. We really appreciate this. We're just having fun. We're having real conversations and the fact that people want to listen. We've even gotten a couple of messages that were so heartwarming. And so we appreciate the feedback. We love that you're listening, and we truly just hope that you get something out of this.
And we are learning as we go. We literally have no clue what we're doing. And I just have to say, like, we've let fear and excuses, hold us back for about a year now. We started talking about doing this a year ago, and we finally just said enough with the excuses. Let's just do it. So thank you for your patience and your grace as we learn. We'll be experts in no time, I have no doubt. Or not, maybe. But thanks for being here and along for the ride with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so being New Year, right? We often see a lot of the new year, new me. Let's completely reinvent ourselves this year. We're going to be a completely new person. And I think that we want to touch on the importance of, yes, it's a new year, and I love the freshness of a new year. I love sitting down and creating goals and things like that. But I don't love the new me slogan because that insinuates that who you are right now is not good enough. And that's not true. You are enough wherever you are right now. And so we're gonna dub this episode number 3, New Year, same me, but let's grow. Because everybody every day has the opportunity to make different choices, to decide that today is going to look different than yesterday. You as a person have to grow into somebody who's capable of living out the goals that you set for yourself. If you haven't done that in 2025, that's okay, but that's what we're going to focus on in 2026. It truly comes down to who are you? Where are you right now? Where do you want to be? And what does it require to be able to become that person?
I love that, Jess. I think sometimes we get so stuck in the routine, right? Of every day comes and goes, and we're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's not that we don't want anything different. It's like time and capacity and motivation and work and kids and all the things that get in the way of us being able to really do something different. And the definition of insanity is what? Doing the
In the
same thing
same.
over and over again and expecting different results.
Mhm.
So I don't say that as being judgmental at all, but what I'm saying is if we want something different, we have to do something different. And that thing can be something very small, right?
Yeah.
It could be very, very small. But if we want change, we have to do something. But before we make change, we have to figure out what is it that I want? What's my why behind this change? Because if you don't have your own personal why, not your why for your husband, your significant other, your child, or anyone, your parents, a why for yourself. Why do you want to make that change? That's what's going to keep you motivated. If you're doing it for someone else, it's not gonna keep you motivated, right? So really just figuring out what's working, what's not working, and what can I do differently to make a change? 1% better every day is still change.
I like that. So I like that you, one, focused on your why, right? Why do we want this change? I think with the new year, a lot of pressure comes, right? Which is wild that we come from the craziest, most chaotic time of the year, right? Christmas being yesterday, the build up to Christmas. Now this week between Christmas and New Year's is like nobody even knows who they are or what day it is or what time, what's going on. And then we have to go into this January 1 of like complete perfection. And the new year always has this big persona of like big dreams, new goals. Who do you want to be? I want to lose 100 pounds. I want to make more money. I want to do all these things. I'm going to change all of this stuff, right? And it becomes this like, and for most moms specifically, we're just trying to survive. We're just trying to get through. And I talk to moms a lot. And when we talk about dreams, normally it becomes overwhelming for them. They're like, I don't know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow night. I have no clue what my dreams are. I want to raise these kids. I want to have more patience. I want to not overreact. Like, are those dreams? Can I write those on my dream list? And so I think New Year can be overwhelming for us in the way that we have to it's just this we have to become new people. We have to set these new big dreams, and that can be overwhelming and paralyzing. So what do? Nothing. Or we feed into it and we set these big goals and big dreams and we make it 1 week of perfection and then we fall off the wagon because we can't be perfect all the time. That is an unrealistic expectation. And so then if we fail, we just give up. And I
Yeah.
think that taking it slower, right? You said 1% better. Who do we want to be, right? It's super important to really take time to reflect. Reflect. This is important. Write this down. We're going to reflect on what are we doing now? If there's areas of your life that we could change or want to change, what would they be? Your routines, right? Like what are areas of your life that you would want to up level or, make 1% better? And what does that look like? If there are areas in your relationships, that you would want to make 1% better, what would that look like? Like we can start small because it's where big changes are actually made. Big changes aren't made through big changes. It's little, tiny, small habits. And if we can understand that, that's where the change really does happen.
Yeah. And just a little bit off that, Jess, there's studies that show it takes over 2,000 times to practice a skill before it becomes habit. And so if we're implementing new habits or micro habits, whatever you want to call it, even if they're just little shifts, it's going to take over 2,000 times of doing it before it becomes habit. Giving yourself time and grace when old habits die hard, right? And that will happen. And don't like throw it out the window like I'm never going to change anyway, so why even bother? It's like, no, I can restart now. I don't have to let that little mess up make it so I'm not doing this. So give yourself grace and understand that it takes time to implement new habits, but it also takes intention, right? It's not going to happen on accident. It takes intention. So really figuring out, as Jess said, what is it that you want? What does it look like? What are you doing when you're that person? Who are you with? What brings you joy? Really making that mental picture and writing down things that come to mind for that. Because then you can go, okay, how do I get there? What's one step towards that version of a life that I want? Right? And we don't have to change who we are to get there. It's just we just have to make shifts, make us become our better selves, right? We can do better. It doesn't matter who you are, you can always do better and grow. And so giving yourself that space and ability to be vulnerable and open and just trust in yourself and your ability to move that forward.
Trust the process. Like trust yourself and trust the process. The struggle with change is it's change. it's not going to be the same. Relationships, right? Environments, you may no longer be able to, do it all. Change requires change, and that becomes the hardest part of change. We want to live the same way, or we're comfortable. We may not even want to live the same way, but we're comfortable in who we are, where we are, what we're doing, right? And changing that is uncomfortable because growth is uncomfortable. And if we can embrace the uncomfortable as a good thing, not a bad thing, because our brains are wired to tell us they're trying, our subconscious, right, is trying to keep us safe. And the way that we're living is normal to our brain. So anything outside of that could be danger. And that's why you're getting uncomfortable. That's why we get held back. That's why we get fear and nervous and anxiousness when we're doing something different, when we're standing up for ourselves, when we stop people pleasing, when we decide to go lift weights and our body hurts. That's change. And that change requires us to get uncomfortable. And your mind, this is why mindset is so incredibly important when you are on a journey of becoming a better version of yourself, because it's all mindset. You have to teach your brain that you are okay, that this change is wanted, that you are becoming a better version, and doesn't matter. The fear is going to creep in, the anxiety is going to creep in. All of these things are going to try and tell you that what you're doing is wrong because it's different. You have to be the one to say, I'm okay. This is what I want. I want the change. I want the difference. I want the growth. I want the life that looks like something different. And that requires us to get through the difficult, uncomfortable that comes with growth and change, because change requires change. You have to shed who you once were to step into the person that you want to be in order to live the goals that you're setting for yourself, to live the intentions that you're setting for yourself.
The only constant is change, right? And
Yeah.
so when we feel fear, we have to do it anyway. When we're nervous, we have to do it anyway. Do it red-faced. I work with I'll won't say her name, but I work with someone who hates public speaking, and I've told her, embrace the red.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Like, because the more you do it, the less red you'll get, right? So I feel like we just have to push ourselves a little bit outside of our comfort zone, and you're going to feel all the things that just talked about, and it's okay. And that's how we grow. That's how we shift, right? And without that, we're going to stay stuck. We're going to stay stagnant, and we'll stay in a place that we are no longer happy. Right? We don't want that.
Right.
And our families don't want that for us, and we don't want that for our families. And we, as moms, are role models to our children. So we teach by modeling, right? So they're watching us. And how do I want my kids to be when they're my age? Do I want them to be crippled with fear and anxiety and unwilling to do things that cause them discomfort? Absolutely not. I want them to hit it out of the park despite how scared they are.
Right.
And so I need to show that as well. I need to model that behavior.
We talk a lot about like breaking the cycle, right? I use that term a lot in with moms because we are the example. We are raising kids. And I think that when I was 24 with my first baby, right? I didn't think of things like this. I thought of making sure he's fed and clean and sleeping and figuring out what life is as a parent and a mom and having absolutely no idea what I was doing. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I was like, oh my God, my actions have so much impact because I literally see my reaction coming out of them, right? The
Mhm.
way that I handle situations is the way that they're handling situations. And guess what? I was yelling at them for the way that they were handling situations when they were literally just modeling my behavior.
Mhm.
And I was like, it was so eye-opening to realize that we're not just raising humans, we're raising the way that people are going to handle life. We're raising the way that people are, these, moms and dads are going to parent their children. We're raising kids that are then going to make decisions for their families. And what are they going to look like? What are the thought processes that they go through in doing big things like this? We're raising kids who are going to chase dreams. Are they going to? We're raising kids who are going to fuel their bodies. What does that look like? We're raising kids who are going to love themselves. Are they going to? It's all based off of how we model ourselves. Like, we're not just raising kids and sending them into the world. We're raising humans that are going to have thought processes. Can they critical think? Can they ask questions? Do we let them ask questions? It was so, and why did it take me? Maybe it's just me, but it took me like 8, 10 years of being a mom to realize, holy crap, I'm a people pleaser. I absolutely raised a people pleaser. And it took me 10 years to realize that my inability to like make decisions based off of what I want. Deegan is absolutely the same way. He will make decisions based off of what he thinks other people want. That is my fault because and I had no idea. I had no idea that that's what I was doing. And I think that going into a new year, we have to understand that as moms, we're not just surviving. Like we can't just survive because we're going to raise kids who are just going to survive. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to understand who we are, what we want, because these kids are watching our journey. And I like to think that if you have young kids, you have time to understand this and change it. If you have older kids, I have to believe that watching your journey and being a part of the change will only help them if it's not too late. Like I have beat myself up over Deegan for a long time. And I like to think that him being a part of my transformation will help him transform, will help him. We can have conversations and talking points about those type of things, the way we react, people pleasing tendencies, all of these things.
I love that, Jess. And I think you just hit the nail on the head. Like, this isn't about placing blame. This isn't about placing judgment, right? Because we've all been there. And I truly believe we're doing the best we can with what we have at the time,
Right.
right? And so the information we have, the skills that we have, all the things. So give ourselves grace for the parents that we have been and where we are today. I truly believe people are doing the best they can. And once you know better, you can do better. Once you have that, Jess was saying, like, it finally clicked for her and then she was able to do things differently. When you have that moment, then you can shift the way that you do things. But this isn't about making you feel bad. It's important to recognize, like, we are doing the best we can. And I have adult children now. The way I raise them, very different than the way I'm raising my 13-year-old. And they're quick to tell me that all the time. Raised them poorly, and I was, for most of their life, kind of single and really trying to do the best that I could to raise them. Basic needs always came first, and then I had a little extra sometimes, but it was really like grinding all the time just to keep a roof over our head. And so I'm in a very different spot now with my husband, and then Emily's at home, and it's different for her because I'm not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. I'm not, one paycheck away from being homeless, right? So like that has shifted for me. But I've
Right.
been there. I was there for most of my adult life. And you get in that kind of like that spiral, and
Right.
you're literally just surviving, right? And you lay
Mhm.
your head down at night saying, I did the best I could. I don't know how many times I would go to bed at night saying, I did the best I could. Tomorrow's a new day. And I would
Right.
always end my day that way. And I can't tell you the last time I went to bed thinking that, because I'm no longer in survival. So when you can shift out of survival, you're able to think differently and do differently. But when you are in that mindset, you're doing the best you can.
Right. Yeah. It's true because looking back, my life was very different. I was very different. You know what I mean? Like you said, like I dropped Deegan off at the sitter. I think I talked about this before, and everything changed for me. Like my whole outlook on life it went from like this beautiful experience. I have this new baby. I'm in love. We're so happy, to I sobbed to and from work every day for months. I'm like, this is it? Like, I don't want to do this. And I hated it. And it was like that changed. I went into this for a very long time. It was like anger and resentment and just surviving. You know what I mean? Like, and I couldn't stay at home. That wasn't even an option. I was living paycheck. We were living paycheck to paycheck, very much so. And so you're right. Like it was, and I didn't know because this is not the stuff that they talk about when you leave the hospital. They don't say, take care of you. You know what I mean? We're not, when you go to the birth, what was that like class we went to, where they help you
Oh,
prepare
Lamont?
for birth? Yeah,
Yeah.
Lamaze,
Yeah.
right? they're not talking about like, I wish we had more conversations with moms who are becoming moms about the importance of mindset and taking care of your mental health. Because even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, I want you to get sleep. I know it's hard. I know that there's so much struggle, that life is not always good, and you could be going through a really, really crappy time right now. And I want you to know we've both been there. We've both had sleepless nights. We've both gone through relationship issues and struggles, and like, we've been there. I've been in the trenches. I wish I had known about personal development and mental health when I was in there because I didn't. I didn't think at all about like my physical health, my mental health. I was just trying to survive and not even well. Like I used alcohol. I'm very open about it. I used alcohol to help numb my thoughts and feelings. And I think that if we can focus more on helping the moms who are in the trenches right now to do even just one thing for yourself, journal your thoughts, write it down. If you're struggling, it's okay to be in the struggle. It's okay. It doesn't mean that's the total story. That doesn't mean that's the whole book for you. This is just one chapter. But what if taking care of your mental health helps that chapter just a little bit? Like it just helps you prepare for that next level a little bit. Because when we take care of ourselves or own our growth, like I love Chrissy's slogan, things change. And what if that chapter closes a little faster if we can focus on owning our growth and truly just making the time to sit with our thoughts, drink your water, get some sleep, move your bodies. Things happen when you move your body. Just get outside and touch grass. Like it's become like a cliche thing, but I'm telling you, when you get outside and you just like sit in the grass or put your feet in the grass, like put sunlight on your face, you can literally instantly feel just a little ounce of joy. And sometimes that's all you have, but sometimes that's all you need.
No, I love that. And I think our next episode, Jess, we'll talk about kind of that you mentioned alcohol, right? Was something that you use to kind of help you get through. And I think sometimes we talk about mom fuel, right? And I feel like sometimes some of us might use substances in some sort, right, to fuel whatever it is that we need. Like I use caffeine to keep me going, right? So I think it's important to understand like it serves a purpose, but it's never really about the alcohol. It's like, what is it doing for you? And if we can tap into that, what is the purpose? Why am I using so much caffeine? Why am I drinking so much alcohol? What's the root cause of that? If we can address that, we no longer need that substance, right? However, it's hard to address those things. It's hard to face them. It's overwhelming and scary, and it brings up a lot of sadness and frustration or whatever the emotions are. And so we tend to ignore and drink, ignore and smoke or whatever it is, so we don't have to deal with the underlying issue. This is by no means clinical in any way, but there's no shame in asking for help if you need that, right? So just from mom to mom, if you're listening, you're struggling with some kind of substance, like know that there's help out there. And you don't have to face it alone. And hopefully, like this podcast helps you understand there's a community of moms that are wanting to go through and grow with you. And there's also services out there. There's treatment out there if you do find yourself struggling with some kind of substance. I just had to.
Yes. No, I appreciate your plug. One of the greatest things I ever did was ask for help. And I wish more moms were okay saying, I need support. And it doesn't even have to be with substance, it doesn't even have to be with alcohol or anything of the sort. Just in general, being okay saying, like, I just need mom support. I just need somebody to listen. I need to, share that my kids don't listen and I'm at my wit's end. I just need to vent and I just need you to, hear me. There's several times I have booked calls with moms and I haven't said two words. They just get on these calls and they just roll. And I just sit right here and I take notes and they're like, oh my God, I feel better. Then it's like, that's it. I just want to listen. I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that there are moms out there who have gone through transformations, who were once in the trenches, overreactive, overstimulated, marriage crumbling, using alcohol, like all of those things, and was able to transform it into something super beautiful, healthy relationship, connecting with kids. Like you can transform and you don't have to do it alone. I did not do it alone once I asked for help. Once I said, I don't like who I am right now, and I want to change that. And I think it's moms, there's this little stigma over here that moms have to have it all together. Moms are just the rulers of it all. We know what to do. We're good at it. We're good moms. We do it all. We have to, right? We have to because we're moms. I will say this every year, that e-card, that little Facebook post comes around and everybody shares it and it makes my skin crawl because it says, of course, something about even when my tank's empty, I still pour because I'm a mom and I have to. And I hate it. I want to comment on every single mom who shares it and say, no, you don't. Because what are you pouring when it's empty? It's the sludge, the bottom of the barrel, that's what your kids are getting when your tank is empty. What good comes from the sludge? That's when cars blow up and don't run anymore. That's not okay. You need to be filling your tank so that your kids are getting the best of you, not the rest of you, right?
I love that. I used to say that all the time. Just, my work got the best of me, my kids got the rest of me. And I think over the past few years I've made that shift. But old habits do die hard, and I'm not perfect. And sometimes
Correct.
I do get so caught up in the work, right? And then I'm like, I should probably get back to my family. I've been at this for a long time now, right? So like I'm a work in progress too. And just because we make this shift doesn't mean everything's fixed and like we don't go back to that. I just think it's more awareness now. I'm aware.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. I literally
Yeah.
just wrote awareness down. Yeah.
Yes, it's about awareness. And then what are you going to do once you are aware, right? And because awareness is great, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't do anything about it. So I just think bringing awareness to it, holding yourself accountable while also giving yourself grace, I think is important.
Yeah, I wrote down awareness and progress over perfection because you're 100% right. We are human. We are going to have good days and bad days. There are days that I'm still overreactive. There are days I'm still easily overstimulated. The awareness is everything. Bringing it back to a place where it's not just who I am, right? That's not who I am anymore. Are there days it comes out? Absolutely. But the awareness allows me to have conversations with the kids where I used to maybe not, or I used to get upset or yell. Now it's hey, listen, mom needs a break, or sorry, I reacted that way. There's just an awareness to it that makes the conversations much more open for accepting my behavior as unacceptable. There are times when I have to own my behavior and say, yeah, that wasn't cool. Which is teaching them to own their actions and holding themselves accountable. And oh my gosh, what if we have kids who are able to say, I didn't react the best way when they're adults, instead of just, I'm the mom, I get to act how I want because that's who I am, and you have to be okay with it. Like that's
I said so.
because I said so. We are the generation raised on because I said so.
Yes, indeed.
So progress over perfection. We're not perfect. We don't always get it right, but the awareness of being able to know that you can start fresh every minute of every day, take it one situation at a time. Just because you overreacted to it this morning doesn't mean you have to let it ruin your evening. The awareness to it opens up a whole new world of I get to do things different and I get to start over at any time.
I love that. And I know we're probably transitioning there to the end of this episode, but I do want to say real quick, I'm someone that had kind of two masks. There was the Chrissy at work and there's a Chrissy at home. And the Chrissy at work was confident and just willing to take on the day and just really knew my stuff. The Chrissy at home and in my personal life was meek, mild, shy, introverted, kind of people pleasing, whatever. And I always kind of wore these around like two separate things. And then I was like, why? Why can't I bring a little bit of confident Chrissy into my personal life? And then bring a little bit of my humbleness from personal life into my work, right? I can have a balance of both, and that has been a work in progress. So for you working moms that feel like you have like a certain identity at work and a certain identity at home, I understand. I think we can make the two worlds blend, and self-sacrifice is not a badge of honor, right? Putting yourself last at work or at home is not a badge of honor. Like Jess said, like the empty of your gas tank, it's all sludge. You got nothing left to give, and eventually you're going to blow up. So really understanding that your work you requires the same level of care as your home you, right? So if you start putting this practice into place for home you, think about how you can implement it in work you too. So if you're a people pleaser, where is that coming out? And how can you shift that in both spaces, right? To me, they were always separate lanes and I looked at them differently. But
Right.
since I've merged the two, I feel less overwhelmed in general.
How many, that personality change, right? That actually can be like exhausting. Like,
Exhausting.
the shift of I'm literally a different person, or for you, it was work and home. For some people, it could be a certain group of friends versus a different group of friends. You know what I'm saying? Feeling like you can't be yourself or that you are a stronger personality here versus here. That can be exhausting. I do want to say I completely agree with you I also think that society has played a factor. A few years ago, the hustle culture was it all. Like burnout was honor. Like the more you did, the more successful you were. The more burnout you were, the more successful you were. Like it was just a badge of honor. I remember I was working for somebody and it was like you were not doing enough if you didn't answer with like you're always working. What are you doing? I'm working. Why? Because I have to. You know what I mean? Like it just was like if you weren't always working, you were failing. And that has really left a mark on a lot of people where we talk about rest earlier, right? That struggle with not doing anything really comes from like it really left its mark on us that if we're not doing anything, we're failing. And that's where we struggle with rest. And I think it's important, like you said, to know that you can't be your best if you are constantly going, 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 going.
For someone else's goals,
Yeah,
right? And that's what it was. Like I was chasing other people's goals for me at work. And then I am naturally introverted. So when I was showing up confident and extroverted at work, I had nothing left to give. My battery was drained when I got home, right? And
right.
so really trying to find that balance and understanding what do I want? I don't want to chase what other people want for me. I want to chase what I want. And so really figuring that out. So I think as we transition into the end of this episode, I think we're going to leave three little nuggets, right, Jess?
We are. Do you
Yeah,
want to kick us off with number one?
sure. Yes. A couple things. I think really reflecting on 2025 and like what is one word that you would give 2025? Like thinking back of all of your experiences, hardships, celebrations, and everything in between. What would you give that? Then I want you to think about 2026. What is one word that you want to give 2026? I'm going to share mine right now because I want Jess to hold me accountable and remind me when things get
Writing it
hard.
down.
Yes, please. And then I want your word too, Jess. Mine is alignment. I think I have spent so much time chasing external forces, chasing what other people want me to do, that I get so lost and I feel like I have to do everything. I really need to align what makes sense for me and my goals and kind of just ignore all the noise. So
I
alignment is
love.
my word. How about you, Jess? What would your word be for 2026?
So I think I touched on this in an earlier episode, but if I had to have one word to reflect, I would have told you my word for last year was connection. But looking back and reflecting on 2025, my word is definitely growth. We stepped outside of our comfort zone in huge ways this entire year. It wasn't always easy. There was a lot of tears, but ultimately, this was one of the most beautiful growth focused years of my life. And so many good things came because of that. Stepping outside your comfort zone, really sitting with the uncomfortable. There was some wild rides, but it was awesome. And so I would say my reflection for 2025 would have been growth. So my word for 2026 is going to be connection. I want to connect with myself, my spouse, my kids, my work. I want to connect with moms in just a deeper way to help. I want to connect with my community. We're in a new community here, and I just want to be able to provide value to them. And so, connection is my goal for 2026 to really just get to the root of what people need and how I can be a resource for them. Because, like you said, which ties into alignment, I sometimes I have a bit of, ADHD brain where I do a little bit of squirrel, right? I'm working on one thing and then I'm like, wait, I want to go over here. And then I go over here and I'm like, wait, but I like what this is and I'm going to go over here. And I want to connect with the root of the work. What do people need? What do moms need? This is why I'm super excited for this podcast because even just a short time, we are only on episode 3. I feel like this is such a way to connect with moms and ourselves. We're learning about ourselves. We're getting, if nobody listens to these episodes, well, guess what? You and I needed it. You know what I mean? Like there, I think that it's just important to really connect with what you need, and that's going to be my goal for this year.
I love that. So, all the listeners, as you reflect on 2025, think about your word for the year and then really think about what is it that you're looking for 2026. Write it down, put it
Yep.
somewhere where you can see it every day. And think about one small shift, 1% better every day. What
Yeah.
about number two, Jess? What else you got?
Number two is, so this is a big one that I think is super important. I want the listeners to pick one non-negotiable that you're going to do in 2026. So Chrissy Trement talked about giving ourselves grace and being intentional. And I think that this is super important. Sometimes as moms, because we leave ourselves last, it's easier to give ourselves more grace because as long as everything else is done, if there's no room left for us, that's okay because everybody else is taken care of. And sometimes grace works against us. And I want us to really, we don't have to do it all. We've talked about 1% better. Pick one thing that you're going to do for yourself. And that doesn't, whether that's going to be you're going to drink all your ounces of water every day, you're going to walk, you're going to get 8,000 steps a day, you're going to plug your phone in across your bedroom so you don't scroll at the end of every night. Pick one thing that grace is not going to save you from. It doesn't matter what the day brings, you're going to do this very thing for yourself because that's how change happens. One small thing, and then we can compound on that.
Yes, it's all about balance. It's all about balance. We can't grace ourselves out of the things that we want, right? So,
Because if we do, then we're going to be in the same spot and going into 2027.
we've already talked about the definition of insanity, right? The same thing over and over again. So if we want something different, we have to do something different.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And our final exciting.
Oh my gosh. So we had this bit of an aha moment the other day. We were chatting and we said, Mom Fuel and Mindset podcast needs to launch something for our listeners, for moms, women. So we're going to do it. So number three is you should join our Mom Fuel and Mindset 6-week reflect and reset journey.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. That works. We want to provide you a path that we can show up and help you really jumpstart your 2026 in a way that feels very personal to you. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where you want to go. We just want to provide support to you along that so that maybe this year looks different than last year. Maybe this year you have a little bit more support. I said the greatest thing I ever did was ask for help, and we want to help you if that's something that you want or need. So we are going to, this is going to, Reflect and Reset is going to include weekly 1 hour group coaching. So every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern time, Chrissy and I, you're going to get both of us. We are going to come together and help you. There's going to be weekly themes and topics, but we're also going to have Q&A. You're going to be able to ask us questions and get the best of us. We're going to provide you with worksheets. I know as busy moms, this always isn't the most convenient, but we want to provide you with resources that you can use when you have time, when make 15 minutes at the end of the day. We want to give you something that you can ultimately use to help you grow off of those weekly coaching calls. There's going to be journal prompts. We're both huge advocates for journaling. I always thought it was cliche and dumb. I didn't really know how to write my feelings down or my thoughts. But it's a huge, huge resource for you. There's nothing better than being able to sit with your journal and start to write your feelings and thoughts down. So we're going to give you journal prompts, and we're also going to have group messaging so that we can all stay connected in between our coaching calls. You'll have access to us so we can help you in need throughout the week. And this, if you are the value of this, if I even had to put a value on it, would be more than we even talked about. But this is going to be for 6 weeks. It's going to be $97. But if you are a Mom Fuel and Mindset subscriber, you subscribe to either YouTube or download Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, we are going to give you a discount and it's only going to be $67 for the 6 weeks, which comes out to about $11 a week. You are going to get two coaches. I'm excited for this. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to put ourselves through it. We're going to do it. We're going to reset and reflect and set intentions for 26. And I hope we look forward to connecting with you guys, and we hope that you take advantage of this. We are going to put out the information. This is the announcement. We just came up with this and we just decided that we want to do this with you. This has been super fun. And so why not come together, both of us, and do this together?
Yeah, as Jess said, we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
Learning as we grow, I should say. Learning as we grow. And so, yeah, you're going to get the best of us. January 13th is the first call, I believe it was Tuesday,
Yeah.
January 13th, 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who don't know, Jess is in what's your time zone?
I am Mountain now.
All right, and I am Eastern, so we're 2 hours. So we did think a little bit about that. They will be recorded. For those of you that cannot be on live, you will have access to the recordings as well. Those will go out in the message group or email. As we said, we're building it as we grow, but more to come on that. There'll be a link for you to sign up. Make sure you subscribe so you can get a $30 discount.
Is there any last things that we missed or that we wanted to end with?
I just think really we started this off by saying like new year, same you. You are good enough just the way you are. Right? So I think that's an important piece that I want to leave you all with is don't feel like you have to go into 2026 and change a million and one things about you because you're perfect the way you are.
Love it.
Yeah, really just figure out what's one small shift you want to think about. That's it.
That's it. That's what we got for you today. All right. We appreciate you all. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Please like this, comment, anything that you want to share with us. We love feedback and we really appreciate you. We are talking about our name in the next episode, so stay tuned for episode 4 where we discuss Mom Fuel and mindset and where it started from.